They say you can tell a lot about a neighborhood by what gets people talking. In Oak Ridge Heights, it was parking. That's right. Just 3 cars in front of my house. That's all it took for one person to turn daily life into a silent war. I used to laugh at how small things could matter so much in suburbia, but I learned quickly, some folks see rules as weapons. For 6 months, I was reminded, every single day, that I was never truly welcome here. It wasn't the weathered glances or even the HOA letters tucked under my wipers. It was the way public parking became a battleground, a way to remind me, you don't belong. My name's Marcus Thompson, 34, and this is the story of how a battle over parking turned my life upside down and ultimately changed the fate of an entire community. 6 months ago, I left behind a detective's badge, a life of chasing white-collar crooks, and moved back to my childhood home on Maple Drive because my mother's time was running out. I traded suits for faded jeans, conference rooms for hospice care, and my only focus became making sure Mom could spend her last months surrounded by the things and people she loved. You know how it goes in neighborhoods like this. Lawns trimmed sharp as razors, folks quick with a smile, but quicker with a complaint. I had 3 cars, my daily sedan, an old SUV for weekends, and my mother's battered pickup she couldn't bear to part with. The trouble started the second week I moved in. Linda, the HOA president, sent a friendly email. Please limit parking to 2 vehicles per home. I wrote back, explaining my mother's condition, that her truck barely moved, and asked for understanding. Her reply came so fast it felt like she'd been waiting to pounce. HOA regulations allow no exceptions. Comply within 72 hours or face daily penalties. That was my first real taste of what I was up against. A woman confusing her authority with power, someone who never learned the difference between control and leadership. That night, I dug through the HOA rules with the same focus I once used to crack corruption cases. And guess what? That 2-car rule wasn't even in the bylaws. Linda had slipped it in during a sparsely attended board meeting for people out of 85 households. No proper notice, no real vote. She'd made it up, counting on fear and apathy to keep everyone in line. I tried to play nice at first, thinking maybe Linda would show a little decency if I talked to her directly. Mistake number 1. The next week, she escalated. A $50 fine taped on my windshield, a public HOA meeting scheduled conveniently while I was working, and then an email to the entire neighborhood painting me as a lawbreaker unwilling to engage in the democratic process. Irony much, Linda didn't just want me gone, she wanted everyone to see it happen. She organized community safety walks that just happened to pass my house 5 times a day, always stopping to talk loudly about property values and the right kind of people. She installed a security camera pointed right at my driveway and started keeping a log of everyone who visited, even delivery guys. It didn't take long before neighbors started avoiding me. Folks who'd brought cookies my first week now ducked their heads and hurried inside. Kids who'd played in the yard stayed away if my mother was sitting on the porch. Linda was poisoning the well, spreading whispers about how some people just don't fit. Then came the first real blow. She hired a tow truck to take my mom's pickup, claiming it was abandoned. Luckily, I caught the tow guy just in time, quoted him city ordinances about legal abandonment, 30 days, not 5, and filmed the whole interaction on my phone. Linda stood there, red-faced, as her plan crumbled. I calmly told her, "You just filed a false request, ma'am. Might want to look up the penalty." That night, Linda blasted an email to everyone, saying I'd threatened contractors and created an unsafe environment. But that wasn't even the worst. The next week, somehow, Linda got hold of my mother's medical info. Maybe through the local clinic, maybe gossip. Suddenly, rumors spread that my mother's illness was contagious, that sick people would bring down the neighborhood. When Mom had a bad day and needed an ambulance, Linda was there with her phone, taking photos, asking paramedics if this would be a regular thing. The note appeared in my mailbox that night. Some residents might be happier in a facility better suited for their needs. Not signed, but I knew the handwriting. For my mother, this was the breaking point. She'd lived here 23 years. Now, she sat at the window with tears in her eyes, asking me, "Marcus, what did I do to make these people hate us?" And then, when Mom came home after a 3-day hospital stay, Linda outdid herself. She staged a community demonstration across the street, signs and all. Respect our community. Follow the rules. As I helped my frail mother inside, Linda shouted, "This neighborhood won't tolerate troublemakers much longer." That moment broke something inside me. Linda thought she'd won. That night, she posted pictures online, bragging that community persistence always wins. She had no idea she'd just lit a fire she couldn't put out. The next morning, I heard glass shatter in my driveway. Linda, wild-eyed, hammer in hand, had smashed the rear window of my mother's pickup. And then, get this, she called 911, claiming I was threatening her. I stood there, phone recording, calmly narrating for the police, who arrived within minutes. Turns out, both officers were old friends from my detective days. When Linda tried to spin her story, the evidence, and her own hammer, said otherwise. My friends quickly pieced together her pattern. 23 calls to police in 6 months, almost all unfounded. Harassment, false reports, destruction of property. The game was up. That day, with Linda finally facing consequences, unexpected allies started to emerge. Her own husband came to apologize, revealing he'd been documenting her abuse for months. Mrs. Chun, the elderly neighbor 2 doors down, confessed Linda had threatened her over a vegetable garden. David Kim, our HOA treasurer, quietly handed me spreadsheets exposing thousands of dollars Linda had siphoned from community funds. But the best twist? The parking lot, Linda's source of power, didn't even belong to the HOA. It was city property, leased from the police pension fund, a fund I'd paid into for years. Within a week, I bought the lot outright, using a veteran discount. The problem resident now legally owned every parking space in the community. Karma, right? Linda's reign ended at an emergency HOA meeting, one she'd called to vote me out. But this time, I came prepared, with evidence, recordings, and a local reporter in the room. As she finished her grand speech, I took the floor and shared everything. The illegal rule changes, the financial fraud, the harassment. David Kim showed the missing funds. I revealed my ownership of the parking lot. The reaction was instant. A standing ovation from neighbors, a motion to remove Linda from all positions, and a wave of confessions from residents she'd bullied for years. Within 2 weeks, Linda faced criminal charges, a restraining order, and an IRS investigation. She lost her house, her marriage, and the tight grip she once had on our community. From there, the real work began. I was asked to step in as HOA president, refunded every illegal fine Linda had collected, and led a total rewrite of the bylaws, making them about safety and community, not control. Stephen Morrison, Linda's ex, became the neighborhood handyman, helping fix what she'd broken. Emma, their teenage daughter, taught computer skills to the elderly. Mrs. Chin's garden expanded, kids' laughter returned to the playground, and every month, we held potlucks in the parking lot I now owned. 6 months later, Oak Ridge Heights won the city's award for Best Community Transformation. Property values soared, not because of rules, but because of neighborly spirit. My mother, healthier now, was surrounded by friends who once avoided her. The old pickup truck became a symbol of how far we'd come, a reminder that real community is built on respect, not fear. So, I have to wonder, why do we let people like Linda get so much power in the first place? Is it fear, habit, or just not wanting to rock the boat? And if one man, with a little patience and a lot of receipts, can flip the script, maybe it's time we all stop letting the loudest bullies write the rules for everyone else. What do you think? Is it better to fight the system head-on, or build something so good that no one wants to go back? Drop your thoughts below, share your own HOA stories, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation, because in the end, the community is only as strong as the voices willing to speak up.